So, welcome back to my class, I suppose. My father says, Gaga, say hi to Zay. Hi. Hi, I'm here. Hi. I slept about 12 hours and I'm like, I don't know how much I slept actually. And I was like, Dad, what the heck? What the heck? And I actually didn't manage to say what the fuck or what the heck to him. He snapped and he said, don't worry, you have done serious deity work and you are exhausted. And if you're like, Aga, translation please, your father is a spirit. When I am doing these videos and these posts, I am draining my shit. You get what I mean? That's what happens to me. I have to cover myself more with the duvet, sorry. So that's what happens. Like Elijah, I teach and I'm draining myself because I'm speaking about spirits. And let me tell you, that's not easy. And my dad was telling me to say that, Zed, this is what I meant when I said that what she's doing is not for everybody, it's only for selected few people, and you wouldn't endure 5 seconds. That's exactly what she means. Like, she needs to sleep so many hours after what she's teaching. Yeah, exactly. So I have my video here that we're gonna play. Helga, are you gonna play again Mario Party? Yes, I'm gonna play Mario Party. I am very, 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 very excited with Mario Party. I'm gonna play with Mario again. Let's play with Mario again. I'll play with Boo tomorrow. I will I will pause the recording at some point because I wanna eat. I haven't eaten anything. I was sleeping. Fuck, I feel like I wanna sleep more, to be fair. So we were about to speak about Hans Christian Andersen. Let's play Mario. Helga, you didn't show what you're gonna drink. I have my Mario juice today. I'm not gonna drink cola. I'm gonna drink Mario juice. Yep, my coffee. Right. No chocolate. I wanna eat some pizza in a little. Okay. So I have here my Hans Christian Andersen video. I'm just trying to locate it. What the fuck it is? Shut the fuck up, please. I'm talking. I'm preaching the gospel. I'm preaching the gospel. Thank you. I have here where the fuck it is. Where the fuck it is? The red shoes. Okay, so we were talking about the red shoes. I had told what exactly the story is for the Greeks. For the Greeks. The Greek translation was I had. That's what I mean. The the little girl with the red shoes. That's how I learned the story. Here it says it's named the red shoes only. Okay, and I told you what Greek version I knew when I grew up. How it ended. She stopped dancing, she repented, and I said I have all types of problems with the story. What? Look there, he says. It looks a new board is ready. Wait a second, could that be? You can now play in Western Land, a familiar town in the wild, wild west. New items stock. Okay, new items in stock. Okay. Western Land. Okay. I wanna go to the mall again, to be fair. So I have a wood start with his opponent's player settings. So I have Goomba. One star each. Zay, you wanted me to play like this, right? So, okay. So, we have Goomba, Bowser Jr., CPU Toad. So, we played with Bowser Jr. yesterday or something. Let's play Boo. Helga, you play with Boo all the time. I know. I can't live without him. Can't living this without you. Helga, what are you doing? I don't know. Seriously. I don't know. Seriously. So, that's Mariah Carey, by the way. So, Without You. I think it's a cover by Mariah Carey, but I don't know. Okay. I was talking about Hans Christian Andersen, right? So, I have all types of problems with the story. I said this in the other video that I drifted and I started speaking about the educational system in Greece. I have all types of shits with this story. This story is abominable to say the least. I'm not gonna go into details right now as I speak. Like as I said the story the other day and as I remember it right now, the story is so problematic it hurts my ass. Yes, I am first. Yes, Zé, thank you for telling me to take Mario. Thank you. Okay, Boo is second. Look, I'm gonna take this as my picture for my video. As I said, the story is so unhinged, it hurts. As I said it before, as I say it now, again, I remember all I knew. Unhinged. Completely unhinged. The ending, I don't know if I said it the other time, that's why I repeat myself. The ending was that the girl repented. She asked to go to the funeral of her mother, her adopted mother, obviously, adoptive mother, obviously that she didn't treat well, as the story implies. Oh, nothing. Okay. So what she does next is go there and the story ends. Never live again, pride, conquer your heart. That's how my version ended. Okay. And when I heard it from my mom said what a nice story this is, isn't it? She read it to me as a lullaby. Hi mom, by the way, she's watching my videos. And I was 6, and Helga, prophet, 6 years old, she wanted to tell her mom, why did you like the story? Like, what exactly is the beautiful in this story? But I didn't want to hurt my mom. Hi mom. And I didn't say anything. I said, yeah, it's a very nice story, but yeah, when I changed room, I was like, I need to go back to Barbie and clean my ears from what I hear for 30 minutes inside my mom's room that Andersen seriously sat down and wrote down in his notebook and he published it instead of going to a fucking doctor or an exorcist and asking professional help. And if you're like is talking to a confessor professional seeking professional help for you, yes, it is. It is. For me, it is. Okay, I found the buttons. Okay, I won. And if you're like, why do you think he needed professional help and his story is not so good and you didn't agree, like with your mom, for example? I never liked Andersen. Whenever I read his stories, I always thought, like, I remember since I was like a child, I remember that I was saying that he's unhinged with what he's saying. Like, I remember, like, listening, and I'm like, I didn't exactly say, like, if you're like younger, 6 years old, you thought like a doctor or an exorcist. As I said, for me, an exorcist is a professional seeking help because because the doctor is gonna help you take your meds that you obviously need, and the exorcist, if you have any spiritual issues, let's put it that way, is gonna help you with them as well, like identify what is your problem, for example. And I didn't exactly obviously say in my 6 years of age that I think that this guy is mental, but I couldn't understand why he's giving so horrible contexts in his stories. He dramatized suffering, he dramatized pain as if he was a sadist. Now I speak from my experience in the field, 24 years old. I don't speak exactly as I spoken when I was 6. When I was 6 and I was hearing the story, I thought simply that Andersen isn't really a good person. That's how I saw it when I was 6, and yeah, I didn't know how to say that to my mom. Like, I think this guy's a bad guy, actually. I think he's a bad guy. I don't think he's a good guy. My father says thank you for saying that. For what? For what? Because you were 6, and instead of saying I like him blindly, you thought him a bad person. That says a lot to me as a deity, he says. Okay, thank you. Thank you anyways for that. He seemed bad, like if you want if anybody wants me to explain. He had a scene in the Christmas tree story where the kids stepped on the branches of the tree and they cracked and the tree felt pain, and he wrote that down. And obviously this is not included in the kids version that I read when I was 8. Obviously I read it as an adult about a month ago on the internet, 24 years old, and even though I am a professional, even though I have done deity work like that and I'm sleeping hours because of that, I felt so much terror and desperation. It's spiritual. It's not like the desperation I was feeling was not uh, I don't know how we will catch him. Why don't they cooperate? They didn't cooperate. Like, I couldn't do anything. Like, I was playing, but he won because I could only go right and left, and they didn't cooperate, and they pressed the button the wrong time. So I read it and I felt desperation and terror, and I'm like, why would you write in a book that the tree felt pain because they crunched his branches? Like, that's unhinged, right? Like, I didn't find any usefulness into this, and the fact that his stories weren't exactly given to the kids as he wrote them and they were paraphrased, that tells you something. Okay. So I came back. Gaga, what are you doing? I have chocolate. That's the package. I ate some. I came back. Bitch, I'm back. Where the fuck are my controllers? Okay. My chocolate. I almost threw my chocolate on my floor. I'm a professional YouTuber. Okay. I will put the video. We will discuss it as we hear it. The story is 16 minutes. Probably I will listen to huge chunks depending if I see something that attracts my, like, I haven't heard the video. So when I will hear something that I think is of theological importance that I have to explain, this is bullshit, another manner, I will do that, okay? So,
The Red Shoes
let's
by
get started.
Hans Christian Andersen. Once upon a time, there was a little girl, pretty and dainty. But in summertime, she was obliged to go barefooted because she was poor, and in winter she had to wear large wooden shoes so that her little instep grew quite red. In the middle of the village lived an old shoemaker's wife. She sat down and made, as well as she could, a pair of little shoes out of some old pieces of red cloth. They were clumsy, but she meant well, for they were intended for the little girl, whose name was Karen. Karen received the shoes and wore them for the first time on the day of her mother's funeral. They were certainly not suitable for mourning, but she had no others, and so she put her bare feet into them and walked behind.
Okay. So, I will come back to this. When I finish the story, I realized something as he speaks. As he said the story, I realized something. I will say what it is when we have heard the full story, okay?
They were clumsy, but she meant well, for they were intended for the little girl, whose name was Karen. Karen refused to go barefooted because she was poor, and in winter she had to wear large wooden shoes so that her little instep grew quite red. In the middle of the village lived an old shoemaker's wife. She sat down and made, as well as she could, a pair of little shoes out of some old pieces of red cloth. They were clumsy, but she meant well, for they were intended for the little girl, whose name was Karen. Karen received the shoes and wore them for the first time on the day of her mother's funeral. They were certainly not suitable for mourning, but she had no others, and so she put her bare feet into them and walked behind the humble coffin. Just then, a large old carriage came by, and in it sat an old lady. She looked at the little girl, and taking pity on her, said to the clergyman, "Look here, if you will give me the little girl, I will take care of her." Karen believed that this was all on account of the red shoes, but the old lady thought them hideous, and so they were burnt. Karen had...
Oh my god. Helge, what did you hear? That Andersen is an asshole. That's what I heard. And that's not even the story that I grew up with. That's another story. Like, I grew up with a very tamed version of the story. Very good. Better. You get what I mean? So, the story's meaning is that, okay, where I am with Todd. Oops. Ah, with her. I go horribly. Oh my god. It's very difficult. It's very difficult. Don't see it like that. It's very, very difficult. We lost. You had to press the button all the time. So the meaning of the story that we heard, she went to see her dead mother in the coffin with a pair of red shoes, right? And she is approached in a carriage by an old lady. And the old lady says, I wanna take her, the adoptive mother, and she says, I don't like the shoes because they are hideous. The shoes were created by a woman that was married to a shoemaker. They weren't the best, but they were for her. And the old woman burns them. Right, that's the story. Let's decode what the story is little by little. Let's go back.
They were certainly not suitable for mourning, because she was poor, and in winter she had to wear large wooden shoes, so that her little instep grew quite red. In the middle of the village lived an old shoemaker's wife. She sat down and made, as well as she could, a pair of little shoes out of some old pieces of red cloth. They were clumsy, but she meant well, for they were intended for the little girl, whose name was Karen. Karen received the shoes and wore them for the first time on the day of her mother's funeral. They were certainly not suitable for mourning, but she had no others, and so she put her bare feet into them and walked behind the humble coffin. Just then,
I want you to see something. So you understand for what type of an asshole we talk about here when we speak about Hans Christian Andersen. Okay. There is a passage in the Bible that says, okay, what is it? Jesus being conscious, that's chapter 13 of John, that the Father had put everything into his hands and that he came from God and was going to God, got up from table, put up his robe and took a cloth and put it round him. Then he put water into a basin and was washing the feet of the disciples and drying them with the cloth which was round him. So he came to Simon Peter. Peter said, Lord, are my feet to be washed by you? And Jesus answering said to him, What I do is not clear to you now, but it will be clear to you in time to come. Peter said, I will never let my feet be washed by you, never. Jesus said in answer, if I do not make you clean, you have no part with me. Simon Peter said to him, Lord, not my feet only, but my hands and my head. Jesus said to him, he who is bathed has need only to have his feet washed, and then he is clean all over. And you, my disciples, are clean, but not all of you. He had knowledge who was false to him. That is why he said, you are not all clean. Then after washing their feet and putting on his robe again, he took his seat and said to them, do you see what I have done to you? You give me the name of Master and Lord, and you are right. This is what I am. If then I, the Lord and the Master, have made your feet clean, it is right for you to make one another's feet clean. I have given you an example so that you may do what I have done to you. Truly I say to you, a servant is not greater than his Lord, and he who is sent is not greater than the one who sent him. If these things are clear to you, happy are you if you do them. I am not talking of you all. I have knowledge of my true disciples, but things are as they are, so that the writings may come true. The foot of him who takes bread with me is lifted up against me. From this time forward, I give you knowledge of things before they come about, so that when they come about, you may have believed that I am he. Truly I say to you, he who takes his heart, anyone whom I send, takes me to his heart. And he who so takes me, takes him who sent me. When Jesus had said this, he was troubled in spirit and gave witness, saying, truly I say to you, then one of you will be false to me. Then the eyes of the disciples were turned to one another, and in doubt as to whom he had in mind. There was at table one of his disciples, the one dear to Jesus, resting his head on Jesus' breast. Making a sign to him, Simon Peter said, who is it he is talking about? He then, resting his head on Jesus' breast, said to him, Lord, who is it? So we have John telling Peter, that's the disciple that is not named as John, is the writer. This is Greek speech. Sometimes we don't say we are the person who speaks. Why here gets cultural, like the disciple whom Jesus loved. Many things are said about this. It's Greek speech. We don't reveal that we are the writer of the story. Sometimes I do it out of culture, some other times I don't. It really depends the context. It is poetic, it's poetic, but if you're like, do you know that the writer of the story is the guy that talks like this? Yes, as I said, it's cultural. It's how you say, hi, this is the writer. You say not I have written it, because it's not very poetic. You say the guy that Jesus loved, and it is implied that it is you. But if you are not a Greek, you obviously don't know that. You have to know the culture, and yeah, there are many people out there who say bullshit about my culture, and they say that this and that about Greekness and Greek culture in general. They say that John said this because he was in love with Jesus and Jesus was in love with him and they were gays. That he did this because it's not another person, it's not John. That he is a snob, many things. Neither of all these things, none of these things is correct. The true thing to be said about like the story and any such passage, and that's not mysticism. If you remember, I said this about Confucius and his student. That's not the same. Here in the text we know everybody. We know that John is writing it. That's not speculation. We know who is writing it. He just puts himself in canvas on the drawing, let's put it that way. Like how did like Michelangelo, or not Michelangelo, sorry, Raphael, I think. Who is this? Who is there? I forgot. Plato and Aristotle painting. Painting, yeah. So that's the School of Athens by Raphael. Yeah, Raphael. I said Michelangelo. Yeah, Raphael. Thank God I corrected it. So that's the School of Athens, right? Yeah, that's Raphael. So that's Athens, ancient Athens. Yeah, it's very accurate. It's very accurate. Raphael was an Italian, and they are same thing as us. So that's Plato. He's pointing upwards because he was talking about the world of the ideas very, very much. Here you have Aristotle, who is pointing down because Plato was an old guy, as you can see. He was talking with Aristotle. Aristotle was also very beautiful. I think you can see that. Okay, I think I should have put it behind. Okay, so now you can see better. So that's Plato. I'm saying this again. He's an old guy. He was an old guy when he had Aristotle. Aristotle was around my age when Plato was around 60, 70, I think. He was very old. He loved very much Aristotle. Aristotle is a classical Greek guy, his looks. He was very beautiful, we know as well. He is pointing downwards to the earth. He is pointing upwards to the world of the ideas. He was talking too much about it. And Aristotle was more a pragmatist. He was preaching free speech. That's irrelevant with what I was discussing, actually. Like, I'm blending too many things here, but I'm trying to explain something. He was talking about the earth, Aristotle. He was like he wasn't an atheist. He had a different mindset. Like, Aristotle was a poet. Aristotle was pretty much a mathematician in the spirit. Like, he wasn't a poet. Like, Plato had written many poems and many tragedies, and why don't we have any of them? He burned them all. He burned them all because he opened his third eye, and Zeus told him that he shouldn't write, and he started writing philosophy as a result. But you can see he has maintained his literature talent. He is a very talented author. That's something you don't have to debate. Like, he has a natural talent from Yahweh. That's what I mean with that. When he's talking, he's blending myth and stories with, like, his speech as I do it. Like, I speak about something and I speak about Edward and Bella. That's a talent from Yahweh. That's not something you can fake. That's a talent. So I'm not gonna give him credits, and myself as well, for something that Yahweh is giving you freely and you don't do shit about it. You get what I mean? But he was a very talented poet, by the way, and yeah, we don't have any evidence left for that because he destroyed all his poetry and all his literature because he opened his third eye, and that's a shame, right? Aristotle was his best student. He's pointing downwards. That's Athens. They are discussing with his favorite teacher and the favorite student. My father says Plato is Helga, Ze is Aristotle. Yeah, definitely. Yeah, definitely. Raphael is the guy here, right? He is putting himself inside the painting. That's something that the writers do and the painters do when we are Mediterraneans, and we are like, that's beautiful. Yes, it's, I think, the second time that the camera doesn't catch it. So that's Raphael. So can you see? That's Raphael and the other guy here. Okay. Raphael is putting himself in the painting as a way to say, hi, I am the person who drew this. And as you can see, he is writing down, he is actually saying, I am drawing this. He put himself in the canvas. This is Mediterranean coded speech. When you speak, you have John saying the disciple that Jesus loved, and he speaks about himself, and Yes, if you are a Mediterranean, you understand what you're hearing because it's our speech, it's how we communicate. Okay, sometimes I do it, sometimes I don't do it, and no, it's not the same as with the Confucius thing that I explained, like the master and the student, because the whole dialogue is written in a dialogue form, and I don't have any setting. I am a foreigner, and I take the passage, and all I read is the master said this, the student said that. It doesn't explain to me who is talking, where are we, like where is this? Is this Madagascar? Is this the year of our Lord 3000 AD? What exactly is that? Like we don't know. The fact that we don't know is very problematic in its nature because we can't immerse ourselves in the story. But when you read about John saying, I am the student that Jesus loved, went to Simon Peter and said this, you immerse in the story. He allows you to be the protagonist for a moment because you can say, like they do in the fan fiction. My father says, I like how you explain. Yeah, that's how I see it. Like as a Greek, in fan fiction, you say your name and you can put anybody's name there. And like your name went and kissed Harry Styles, the singer. This is how fan fictions work in Wattpad. And yes, I grew up with Wattpad as a girl born in the Y2K. That was very popular in the 2010s, the Wattpad platform. Okay, so the your name structure is a structure that helps you put yourself into it. Like Helga kissed Harry Styles. It's like Claudius means Buddhism. Your name. You take out your name, you put your name. So you can write there, the disciple whom Jesus loved went and told Peter, okay, I don't understand. My Bible opened AliExpress on its own. My father says business. Yes, definitely. So what you do is take out the disciple that Jesus loved and you say, Ze, whom Jesus loved, asked him, who is going to betray you, master? So if you're like, yeah, but that doesn't really make sense, it makes sense for a Greek, it makes sense for a Roman, because we like to immerse ourselves in the stories and embody characters pretty much. It's something that we love doing, like acting and embodying characters. That's what we like to do, and that's what he did. He said exactly what he said without naming himself, and so you can actually put yourself there in his shoes. Okay, it's poetry. So Raphael, it's a painting. You can't exactly put yourself into this, but it's a painting. He put himself inside it. What did he do? I was with Aristotle and Plato in Athens, so he was a fun girl. My father says he's laughing. He says that that's the fan fiction Wattpad of the Renaissance. Yes, exactly. So they basically wanted to be with them. He was a fanboy of both, and he envisioned he was an ancient Athenian speaking with Aristotle and Plato. Yeah, it's cute, obviously, like it's fanboy, right? But it's Mediterranean coded, so it's not exactly like the Chinese text. If I don't have a Chinese person or if I don't have an explanation book by me or Copilot or Google, I can't understand what I'm reading because I don't have any context. That's what I mean, okay? So, making a sign to him, Simon Peter said, who is it he is talking about? He then, resting his head on Jesus' breast, said to him, Lord, who is it? This is the answer Jesus gave. It is the one to whom I will give this bit of bread after I have put it in the vessel. Then he took the bit of bread, put it into the vessel, and gave it to Judas, the son of Simon Iscariot. And when Judas took the bread, Satan went into him, and then Jesus said to him, do quickly what you have to do. Now it was not clear to anyone at the table why he said this to him. Some were of the opinion that because Judas kept the money back, Jesus said to him, "Get the things we have need of for the feast," or that he was to give something to the poor. So Judas, having taken the bit of bread, straightway went out, and it was night. Then when he was gone out, Jesus said, "Now is glory given to the Son of man, and God is given glory in him. If God is given glory in him, God will give him glory in himself, and will give him glory even now. My dear children, I am only to be with you a little longer, then you will be looking for me. And as I said to the Jews, so now I say to you, where I am going you may not come. I give you a new law. Have love one for another. Even as I have had love for you, so are you to have love one for another. But this it will be clear to all men that you are my disciples if you have love one for another." Simon Peter said to him, "Lord, where are you going?" Jesus said in answer, "Where I am going you may not come with me now, but you will come later." Peter said to him, "Why may I not come with you even now? I will give up my life for you." Jesus said in answer, "Will you give up your life for me? Truly I say to you, before the cry of the cock, you will have said 3 times that you are not my disciple." I'm not gonna pretend that the cock word didn't. My father is laughing. Yeah, it shocked me a little bit because usually you say rooster, okay? But yeah, it says you cannot come now. This is also like a little bit of Enoch. He didn't go exactly up. He may come later, he told him. You can come later, not exactly now. Now you will go to your ground. Like, it's not only exactly about the crucifixion, it's also about like I don't really want to say this to make someone upset, but this is something that I understand myself. Where I going, you may not come. I give you a new law, he says. And he said, where are you going? You may not come with me now. You will come later. So he will die, and then he will go to him, pretty much. Like, he will not go exactly as Enoch did. And yes, he says also about the crucifixion, but not only that, my father doesn't speak only for one thing, he speaks about many things. And then he said, where am I not come with you even now? I will give up my life for you. And Jesus pretty much rebukes him, and he says, will you give up your life for me? Truly I say to you, before the cry of the cock, you will have said 3 times that you are not my disciple. So he pretty much says that he can't really come because he loved God. Don't say that he's a bad person, my father there. He's not. He's just telling Peter that, trying to see if the camera is focusing enough. He's telling him that pretty much you are not really so inseparable of me as you think. When you lost me, pretty much, I'm putting past tense, you will understand what I'm doing. When you lost me, you didn't search for me. You denied me. You can live without me, so go to the ground. What my dad said to me though, and I say it because I'm a little bit proud of myself, I have to say, I am a little bit, but what he told me is, when you lost me, you searched for me everywhere you could. So much that you actually tend to mysticism for it. Obviously you can't die, even though you went there, it was because you wanted to find me, not because you were trying to live from me, as usually mystics do. I went down a rabbit hole because I was trying to find my father, and they told me that I would find him down there, but I got lost. But it was in a good intention. Simon Peter tried to leave my dad, so he told him, you can't. You will come later though. So he didn't say you will die, you will go to hell. No. He said you won't go exactly like Enoch, you will come later, you can live without me for 5 seconds, trust me, Peter. And Peter is like, no, I can't. And Jesus is like, no, trust me, you can. If I leave, You're not gonna search for me exactly. You get what I mean? So yeah, I'm a little bit happy about me, about that, I suppose. So I'm not bashing Peter, I'm just explaining that even his disciples are not exactly like me. And I'm a little bit unique case. And why I'm saying all this, my father says he is very moved by my interpretation. Thank you. I'm saying all this to support why when I say, yeah, I want you only for sex, but not exactly in the way you understand it. That's what I mean. That's what I mean. I have another connection with everybody, I suppose. Like not exactly with people. I can't say with people, not because I can't connect with people, but because usually I have friends, the spirits, not people. But that doesn't mean that I don't want to connect with people. I want to. Usually they leave me. Usually they leave me. I don't want to explain details because that will make me very upset. My father doesn't want me to become upset. They have dumped me many times in my life, friends. That's why I also didn't have a boyfriend. I couldn't connect with anybody because they were leaving me. Usually with no explanation like usual. So that's not something that happened for me for the first time. You are about in the queue number 10, another 9 people before you left me without an explanation, and after you left me, about other 5 people left me without an explanation. Friends, maybe more, don't know. Don't want to speak about that though. So I have connected with spirits. I have connected with spirits. That's true, but I'm not abandoning anybody. And yeah, I want to connect with people. People usually don't want to connect with me. That's not my issue though, as I said. And yeah, it hurts a lot not to learn what you did wrong and people dumping you like that. But anyways, I don't want to speak about that, especially think about it, not exactly just speak about it. My father says I'm gonna take revenge for that. I'm gonna take revenge for that. Okay, thank you. He says he's very angry about that. Okay, thank you. So what we read, what we read is about Simon Peter. Okay, Simon Peter told my dad, you can't wash my feet, and my father said, you have to let me wash your feet. They did it, and my father says, what do you mean we did it? Yeah, so he washed his feet, they did it, and yeah, so he told him, you have clean head, clean mind, just clean your feet now. You get what I mean? So that's what he told him. And my father said, not all of you are clean, but either way, wash each other's feet, love one another. What did the woman in the Andersen story do? She washed the feet of the girl. What did she do? She made shoes that were not exactly perfect, but that doesn't mean anything. She made shoes for her and she gave them to her, and the girl had shoes. And what happened next after washing the feet comes death. The mother of the kid dies. What happened after the washing of the feet? Jesus said, I'm not gonna be too much with you any longer. So after they have washed feet, the father dies. That's where the story starts getting fucked up. My father says, thank you for seeing all these details. He says, I didn't tell her these details, she sees them herself. Yeah, that's true. Thank you. So when you have Andersen saying mother died, then you expect him to bring her back somehow. But he doesn't. He gives her to an adoptive mother, and if you think, isn't this the adoption of Christ? No. No. It says explicitly the mother died, then a carriage, a queen, Harriet's queen, right, came, an old woman was inside, right? An old woman, old person is ancient in spiritual language. It doesn't mean exactly elderly, and even if it means elderly, why an elderly woman is adopting a kid? Does it make sense? No. The name Karen in Danish back in that age, I don't know for today, it was the most popular name, so much as John is for English, Yorgos is for Greek, George. So a random girl dressed in red shoes is taken as adopted daughter by an old rich lady in a carriage. So a queen takes a girl with a red clothing, whatever it is, inside her carriage. So the old lady is a queen and she's ancient, decoding here the language, okay? She takes a girl that just lost her mother. So the daughter, if the mother is Jesus that died, right, and the woman that gave her the shoes is actually the disciple of Jesus, or Jesus in another form. So the woman of the shoemaker is, let's say, the same person, is the same person as the mother that dies. The archetype gives her washing feet, or a disciple, if you want to say this is Peter washing the feet of Judas, John, whatever, right? Thomas, Nathaniel, doesn't matter. She is washing the feet of the girl, mother dies. What is the name of the girl? Karen, the most popular name in Danish culture. She's Jerusalem. She's washing her feet. She goes with washed feet in the funeral of her mother. So Jesus dies, Jerusalem is left behind. Mother is expected to come back though. She doesn't. We have a different lady that adopts her, an old lady inside a carriage. What did we have so far? A poor girl that didn't have the means to have shoes. What did Jesus say? I don't have where to put my head to sleep. He was poor. He was a carpenter. She dies. The girl is left behind and she's adopted by the queen of the world. The woman, the elderly woman inside the carriage, the rich woman. Who is she? Zeus. She's Hecate. She's the old Hecate, the crown Hecate, Chronia, of Cronus Hecate, of time Hecate. She is Zeus. Zeus adopts the girl called Jerusalem, who lost her father Jesus, and he says, burn, burn. His hellfire, thunderbolt, burn the shoes that the woman made her, because they are hideous, they are horrible. What does he say? What she did, the washing of the feet, I don't approve that. I don't like these shoes, take them off. Why? Because Jesus said, if you do what you saw me doing to you, you are my disciples. Love one another as I have loved you. The woman comes and says, burn the shoes, stop that, burn them in the hellfire. I don't approve of this. Not love one another. This is hideous, this is disgusting. I don't agree with that. What is the color of the shoes? Red. What is the woman wearing upon the beast in the Revelation? Red. Who is now the woman that Zeus is adopting? Babylon. Christian Andersen took Jerusalem, he gave her adopted to Zeus, and he renamed her Babylon. He confused one more time. He did this also in the other story, the little match girl, we discussed that he mixed Babylon with Jerusalem again and God with Zeus again. He is doing this again. He is mixing Jerusalem actively with Babylon, and he's saying you are a prostitute because you had your feet washed by the woman. Zeus probably doesn't like foot fetishes, foot pics, okay? Okay, that's why he's putting Christians stopping having OnlyFans, because he hates that, okay? So, what do we have so far, Ze? A false prophet saying false prophecies from Zeus. That's what we see. That's what we hear. And if you're like, Helga, did you see that immediately after you heard the story? Yes. Yes, that's my job. That's why I do it. It's not intellectuality. It's a speech. It's a speech from the spirits. Okay. It's spirit speech, spirit language. Okay. I can hear it and understand what I hear exactly as you can hear your name and understand it is your name, Gao, okay? And you hear the other Gao and you know it's not your name because the accent is slightly different, it's slightly off, so that's another Chinese word that is called Gao, right? You have many Gao, and you have different way of saying it, so you understand when you hear it that that's not this word, that's another word because of the way they are emphasizing the vowels. I understand this is another word, it's called the same, but how strong the accent is, I understand it's another word, right? This is how I hear it myself. I don't need translation, a book to translate me. I hear it immediately because it's a speech, and everybody who can do what I'm doing know the speech as well. That's what I'm explaining, okay? So let's continue, and I will play here. I will stop only if I have something to say though, okay? Because we have to play.
For morning. Karen received the shoes and wore them for the first time on the day of her mother's funeral. They were certainly not suitable for mourning, but she had no others, and so she put her bare feet into them and walked behind the humble coffin. Just then, a large old carriage came by, and in it sat an old lady. She looked at the little girl, and taking pity on her, said to the clergyman, "Look here, if you will give me the little girl, I will take care of her." Karen believed that this was all on account of the red shoes, but the old lady thought them hideous, and so they were burnt. Karen herself was dressed very neatly and cleanly. She was taught to read and to sew, and people said that she was pretty. But the mirror told her, "You are more than pretty. You are beautiful." One day, the Queen was travelling through that part of the country and had her little daughter, who was a princess, with her. All the people, amongst them Karen too, streamed towards the castle, where the little princess, in fine white clothes, stood before the window and allowed herself to be stared at. She wore neither a train nor a golden crown, but beautiful red Morocco shoes. They were indeed much finer than those which the shoemaker's wife had sewn for little Karen. There is really nothing in the world that can be compared to
I want to hear it again.
So she put her bare feet into them and walked behind the humble coffin. Just then, a large old carriage came by, and in it sat an old lady. She looked at the little girl, and taking pity on her, said to the clergyman, "Look here, if you will give me the little girl, I will take care of her."
You can see that the woman is with the clergy. The mother was not with the clergy. Can you see the symbol? The clergy is with the old lady. The church is something that Zeus prefers, not something my dad actually likes. That's what it says. Okay.
Girl, and taking pity on her, said to the clergyman, Look here. If you will give me the little girl, I will take care of her. Karen believed that this was all on account of the red shoes, but the old lady thought them hideous, and so they were burnt. Karen herself was dressed very neatly and cleanly. She was taught to read and to sew, and people said that she was pretty. But the mirror told her...
Hold on now. So, 1, no, 2. Okay. I don't understand. 1, 2. No. 2. Oh god, he finished. He finished. Anyways, doesn't matter.
You are more than pretty. You are beautiful.
He won.
One day, the Queen was travelling through that part of the country and had her little daughter, who was a princess, with her. All the people, amongst them Karen too, streamed towards the castle, where the little princess, in fine white clothes, stood before the window and allowed herself to be stared at. She wore neither a train nor a golden crown, but beautiful red Morocco shoes. They were indeed much finer than those which the shoemaker's wife had sewn for little Karen. There is really nothing in the world that can be compared to red shoes. Karen was now old enough to be confirmed. She received some new clothes, and she was also to have some new shoes. The rich shoemaker in the town took the measure of her little foot in his own room, in which there stood great glass cases full of pretty shoes and white slippers. It all looked very lovely, but the old lady could not see very well, and therefore did not get much pleasure out of it. Amongst the shoes stood a pair of red ones, like those which the princess had worn. How beautiful they were, and the shoemaker said that they had been made for a count's daughter, but that they had not fitted her. "I suppose they are of shiny leather?" asked the old lady. "They shine so." "Yes, they do shine," said Karen. They fitted her and were bought, but the old lady knew nothing of their being red, for she would never have allowed Karen to be confirmed in red shoes.
Because confirmed is something that they do in Catholic Church, I think. Okay, the Catholic Church does that confirmation. Catholic Church. Okay, it's a sacrament that completes Christian initiation, sealing the faithful with the gifts of the Holy Spirit and become stronger and more mature witnesses in Christ. It's a public affirmation. Okay, we don't have that. Is it in Orthodox? No, it's not. It's not. We have chrismation. It's not something we have though. Chrisma, you take it when you are a baby. The confirmation is given when you are an adult. That's disgusting for the Greeks, for many accounts. For the first account is they see it as occult initiation, pretty much. I agree with that. The Greek one, yes, it is a ritual, I suppose. Like it's not something crazy. It's like you have the priest reading like Psalms a prayer. In the Catholic Church, they do it when it is older and they give it duties. You don't change your duties when you are in an Orthodox family. You have the same. They just read it out of love, pretty much. You have to just have your godfather or your godmother teach you Christian faith. And for me, it's not exactly good what they do. Like, I think they have a little bit ritualistic sense even in the Greek Orthodox Church, but it's closer to what my dad would approve than what they do in the Catholic Church, which sounds like a ritual in the occult circles, right? So that's my take as a Greek again. And I grew up like that, and I think they had a correct ideology when they said that it is not very good. Okay, so what we have here is Karen. She likes the shoes of the daughter of the queen, and she shouldn't. And the old lady wouldn't have given her red shoes for her confirmation because the old lady is Zeus. He loves the clergy. He doesn't like prostitution. Red is the color of prostitution symbolism in paganism. Okay, that's why the Bible uses it. The revelation is for the non-believers, so the non-believers who are mystics, exactly, not for the atheists, not for them, for the mystics who don't believe, like Persians people, like Christians who are mystics, not truthful Christians, okay, who are involved in the occult. They can read what it says there. So what you have with Karen is her doing what she wants to do, not what the system and Zeus wants her to do and wants everybody to do. And the old lady doesn't want her, obviously. And what we learn from this, that Karen should never wanna go where the countess wanted to be. Like, where did she find the shoes? The shoes belonged to a girl that was a countess, a duchess, but they didn't fit her. And the shoes that she liked and she mimicked, what did I do with my hair? My father is laughing. He says like Sabrina Carpenter. Yeah, I liked the hair of Sabrina Carpenter. I cut my bangs, curtain bangs, like Sabrina Carpenter. Karen didn't have Sabrina Carpenter because we speak about the 19th century. She didn't have celebrities and influencers to take inspiration for her clothing. She had the royalty. Everybody did the exact same back then. And what do we know? Don't do that. Don't dress like the celebrities. Don't cut your hair like Sabrina Carpenter, Helga. Be modest. That's what God and society wants you to do. My father says thank you for this. No problem. So my father says no problem, like equation problem. Yes. So what do we learn? That you can't bribe your way to God. That's what it says. You wanna be like a princess, the daughter of the queen, the daughter of God. You can't be a daughter of God, you can't be a duchess or a countess. You are a poor girl, humble yourself. Don't copy what the royals wear, what the celebrities, the Instagram influencers are wearing. Don't copy them. This is secular mindset. You are confirmed in the Catholic Church. You shouldn't wear clothes that the world, the secular world, is wearing and promote carnal ideas. That's what it says. That's why I say he is a bad person, pretty much. He is a bad person. I can't prove it to you. He didn't kill anybody, but I can see from what he is teaching that he's a bad person. He wouldn't be teaching such deep shit if he was a good person. And I'm really sorry about that because I feel sorry for how his lovers were treating him. And I think he was a wounded guy. I think he was talented as a person, naturally talented, but I think he was a bad person deep down and he had issues, sinful issues he had to solve to say such stuff to women and people in general. Because after 200 years after his death, I hear him saying to me, don't cut your hair like Sabrina Carpenter. This is what it says. Yeah, it says this is the daughter of the princess, don't buy her shoes, don't dress like her in the Catholic Church confirmation. But the spiritual meaning that I'm taking, even as a Greek, is exactly what I'm telling you. That I shouldn't mimic what the world is wanting me to do. My father says, thank you, Helga Ze. This is what she was saying to you when she said she heard the story of Little Mermaid. She didn't like it, and I said, like me, she said, okay, let's keep it first person so we don't mix it up. She said, I am glad he died. What she said when she was 5 years old was spiritual. I am glad that he's spiritually dead. Not that he's dead in the flesh. She said that because she was 5, but she meant it spiritually. I'm glad he's dead, that his stories aren't suitable for telling because they are promoting bad ideas, and that's why she told me this. I'm glad he died. I am glad that Disney took the Little Mermaid and he gave a good ending. That's what she said at 5 years old. He says she recognized it because kids are innocent and they can see, and that's why I said don't scandalize children. It is better for you to go to the sea with a rock in your neck than go to scandalize a child. And he says what I say there is Greek speech. This is how Greeks speak, but also it means come to me with a yoke in my neck, in your neck. Humble yourself in front of the sea, which is my essence. Let's see here what he says about the children. Better let's drown than scandal child. Okay, let's put it that way. If anyone causes one of these little ones, those who believe in me, to stumble, it would be better for them to have a large millstone hung around their neck and to be drowned in the depths of the sea. Yeah, this is a Greek speech. We say this, go drown yourself. This is like a Greek speech. It doesn't mean suicide. No. It's how we say go to hell. Go fuck yourself. That's what it means. We are very passionate people, expressionate. That's how we speak. And my father says you can say I cursed there. Yeah, exactly that, exactly. And what he says basically, yeah, I can see that is humble yourself. Put the yoke you are putting in people's necks. Put you and come to me and repent. That's what it says. He doesn't say to anybody commit suicide. You get what I mean? So let's continue.
In red shoes, as she was now to be. Everybody looked at her feet, and the whole of the way from the church door to the choir, it seemed to her as if even the ancient figures on the monuments, in their stiff collars and long black robes, had their eyes fixed on her red shoes. It was only of these that she thought when the clergyman laid his hand upon her head and spoke of the holy baptism, of the covenant with God, and told her that she was now to be a grown-up Christian. The organ pealed forth solemnly, and the sweet children's voices mingled with that of their old leader.
I wanted to hear again, sorry.
Jews, as she was now to be. Everybody looked at her feet, and the whole of the way from the church door to the choir, it seemed to her as if even the ancient figures on the monuments, in their stiff collars and long black robes, had their eyes fixed on her red shoes. It was only of these that she thought when the clergyman laid his hand upon her head and spoke of the holy baptism, of the covenant with God, and told her that she was now to be a grown-up Christian. These that she thought when the clergyman laid his hand upon her, and long black robes had their eyes fixed on her red shoes. It was only of these that she thought when the clergyman laid his hand upon her head and spoke of the holy baptism, of the covenant with God, and told her that she was now to be a grown-up Christian. The organ pealed forth solemnly, and the sweet children's voices mingled with that of their old leader, but Karen thought only of her red shoes. In the afternoon, the old lady heard from everybody that Karen had worn red shoes. She said that it was a shocking thing to do, that it was very... In the afternoon, the old lady heard from everybody that Karen had worn red shoes. She said that it was a shocking thing to do, that it was very improper, and that Karen was always to go to church in red shoes. She's old leader, but Karen thought only of her red shoes. In the afternoon, the old lady heard from everybody that Karen had worn red shoes. She said...
This is called katalallia in Greek. Katalallia, too much talking. Lallia, speech, logos. Katalallia, she is listening to gossip about the girl, what she wore in the church, and what did you do? You didn't pay attention to what the preacher was saying. You paid attention to what she was wearing. That's called gossip. That's a hideous, very serious sin. The fact that we discuss it, and I have to say that we hear that Karen is a bad person based on gossip, just because something sounds correct, that doesn't mean that the way is correct as well. You get what I mean? So you say she wore red shoes, she shouldn't wear them. Why? Did God say don't wear red shoes inside the church? My father says I am a pole dancing reaper. I wear glass heels to go to pole dancing. Okay. He wants me, he says, to show you the shoes. Okay. Glass shoes. Not this, the Cinderella type. No. I want... Yeah, this is the ones. I'm trying to... I will try to... Yeah, they are in Shein. I found one. I will try to make them bigger so you can see. I like this, by the way. Like, I can scroll for hours. Helga, what are you doing? I like this very much. So this, my father says I wear these. These are for pole dancing, indeed. They are very, very high. Very high. You can see, like, it's not only high, this one. It's also this. And yeah, it's quite dangerous. But my father says I like as a pole dancer. So Andersen says that my father doesn't want shoes in the church. And if you're like, Helga, what did he say now? He says he doesn't mind. That's what he says. He says it in his language. He's being funny. So Andersen says God doesn't want you with shoes inside the church. My father says I do. I don't mind what you wear. Come naked. My father says make fancily. yes, exactly. So what he means is that he doesn't care how you will go to talk to him in any case, not only in the church, anywhere. Just talk to him. That's all he cares about. And Andersen says they came in gossip, and they gossiped the girl, and she was shocked. My daughter wore red shoes in her confirmation. That's crazy. That's horrible. The law of Moses didn't ban it. The New Testament doesn't ban it. So what does Christian Andersen here, and his name is crazy, Anti-Christian Andersen, my father is laughing, is preaching? False prophecy. It's false prophecy. Because through gossip, which is a hideous sin, we hear that Karen is a bad person. No, the bad people are the people in the church who are gossiping a little girl. That you shouldn't be doing that. That's sin. That's a sin. You must repent for gossiping for other people when you are anywhere, not only the church, anywhere. You see a woman wearing tight clothing. What is she wearing? Where is her husband? What is this? What is this? That's gossip. Put tape in your mouth. Put a tape in your heart. You have issues to solve. You have serious issues to solve with yourself and your spirituality. Your heart is far away from God. Your mouth is close to God. That's crazy. You should speak less about Yahweh, Lord, God, Adonai, Shaddai, all this, and be more loving to people. That's why my father said, if you love one another, you will wash each other's feet. You get what I mean? Let's continue.
Said that it was a shocking thing to do.
Of course I lost.
That it was very improper, and that Karen was always to go to church in future in black shoes, even if they were old. On the following Sunday, there was communion. Karen looked first at the black shoes, then at the red ones, looked at the red ones again, and put them on.
My father says this is suppression of female sexuality, and I'm really sorry about that. Black color in Europe, he says, is the color of mourning. The color of red is the color of sensuality and passion. And Andersen says here, and I say this because Helga doesn't know these things. I do that for Yuze. Andersen says the woman must suppress her sexuality and come to me modestly dressed, and that's why I always say I'm proud for my little girl for opening her account on Fansly, because she has escaped like Karen these cars of the people, of the society, to be humble and modest. For me, they are putting me in the equation to suppress women, and they say you are not a good girl if you are not dressed modest. And they don't care that a modest dressed person maybe be a prostitute at heart, and a prostitute in the flesh might be the most modest person at heart. And that doesn't mean that the prostitute, that the woman dressed as prostitute is indeed a woman that can marry and be a prostitute in her marriage. Maybe she's the most Sarah person in the world. She's just expressing her body because, as they say, my body, my choice. That's indeed true, he says, but that doesn't mean if you live like a spirit, you are like that in your marriage. That doesn't change that in her marriage she can be a Sarah person. One thing is one, like this is one category. The other thing is something different, not related to the first, and that's why I say I'm proud for her, because the society punishes such women and they call them prostitutes and they shame them, and I'm proud that she doesn't do it, and she is proud like Karen, because it says that Karen is proud for looking in her mirror and saying, I'm not pretty, I'm beautiful. In Greek language, when you say I am Oreos, that means I'm beautiful because of the time. But if you say I am Omorphos, you mean I am beautiful timelessly, I am forever, I am eternal beautiful. If you say in my understanding I am beautiful, Omorphos, I have an eternal good shape, that means you have the eternal image of God in you, and you understand that you have eternal life. And I prefer this mindset than the mindset of temporal stuff, temporal image people usually have in their understanding of, like, Helga, you can't translate it. No, I can't. He says that when I look myself in the image, he's talking to me in Greek and it's very difficult for me to translate him. When she looks, my father says, let's go again, Helga. Okay. When you look yourself in the mirror and you think I am Oreos, you mean that you are beautiful now and you think you are going to die. But if you say I am beautiful, I am Omorphos, that means you are eternally beautiful, he says. So you mean that if I say I am amorphous, I am beautiful, that means that I see myself, he says, you don't see another Helga in your mirror. I am seeing, you are seeing, he says, me on the mirror. You see you are eternal. Fuck, that would make me cry. That you are eternal, that not only you exist, because you says if you look yourself in the mirror you don't exist. You exist, you have timeless beauty because you have the beauty of God. You have the image of God, and that means you are eternal. You not only you exist, you are also immortal person, and you should be proud of that. That's what I mean, that when the world sees you they will say stuff that you aren't. You have to keep faithful to yourself by keeping faith to me. I can say though now he gave my he took my mouth here to speak because I honestly couldn't translate him. He said many phrases in idioms in Greek and I couldn't translate them. I had problem. He said, for example, he said άλλο το ένα άλλο το άλλο at some point. That means one thing this, one thing that, and I don't know how to translate this in English. Like one category this, one category that, something like that. That's how I would translate it. Like it's one thing to be like have fancy, one other thing to be married. That doesn't mean that they can conflict. When you say άλλο το ένα άλλο το άλλο, that means they don't have to conflict, they can coexist. That's how I would translate. But he said many idioms and I can't translate. My father says that's why you are a true prophet, because you have issues even in translation. You don't have polished words, he says. You speak as you hear me and it is authentic, and you shouldn't feel ashamed for not being able to translate me. I feel because I am afraid maybe I say something that doesn't sound okay and I have to revise it and maybe somebody will think maybe she's making it up. He says you don't sound like making things up, Helga. You don't hear what you are saying when you speak in my name. Yes, that's true. But I'm trying to be professional, and my father says, you are professional, he says. Thank you. I'm just explaining that I'm trying to be a professional, and sometimes I mess it, and it's difficult to translate from my language because it has many idioms and different structures in the sentences. So that's what he said. So he says that pretty much, if I have to recapitulate, he says that Andersen wants women to suppress their sexuality and he doesn't want that, and that's why he's proud of me. And I suppose he wants me to spread the good news so that other women are something like me. He says yes, and everybody, he says, not only you, men and women, and he says, and men, women, but not the men, women, Zeus says, non-binary and trans. Yes, I thought you would say that.
Karen looked first at the black shoes, then at the red ones, looked at the red ones again, and put them on. The sun was shining gloriously, so Karen and the old lady went along the footpath through the corn, where it was rather dusty. At the church door stood an old, crippled soldier, leaning on a crutch. He had a wonderfully long beard, more red than white, and he bowed down to the ground and asked the old lady whether he might wipe her shoes. Then Karen put out her little foot
I didn't understand, sorry.
long beard, more red than white, and at the church door stood an old, crippled soldier, leaning on a crutch. He had a wonderfully long beard, more red than white, and he bowed down to the ground and asked the old lady whether he might wipe her shoes. Then Karen put out her little foot too. "Dear me, what pretty dancing shoes," said the soldier. "Sit fast when you dance," said he, addressing the shoes and slapping the soles with his hand. The old lady gave the soldier some money and then went with Karen into the church. And all the people inside looked at Karen's red shoes, and all the figures gazed at them. When Karen knelt before the altar and put the golden goblet to her mouth, she thought only of the red shoes. It seemed to her as though they were swimming about in the goblet.
Sorry, I will put them again because...
Then Karen put out her little foot too. "Dear me, what pretty dancing shoes," said the soldier. "Sit fast when you dance," said he, addressing the shoes and slapping the soles with his hand. The old lady gave the soldier some money and then went with Karen into the church, and all the people inside looked at Karen's red shoe.
My father says Hagar didn't get this. The soldier, he says, is mentioned because for Andersen and such people, a person going to war is gracious and important. That's what he says. Yeah, like he means like you mean like the Zeus, like a doctrine, like if you die in war. He says, yes, yes. These guys are important for Andersen and his not counterparts, like how do we translate this word? Το συνάφι του, his skin, and he mentions a soldier because, okay, I think he will say in a minute. Okay, he says Andersen gave us a soldier, he says, his beard is not white, his beard is, okay, his beard, he says, is not white, is red. That means he has the color of prostitution. He is a prostitute soldier because he didn't die in the war like a proper soldier. He died by old age, that's why he's an old guy, and his beard is prostitution. He didn't die dutifully as Zeus would want him to do. Helga doesn't see that because she was not a proper pagan, but that's what it says. Okay, thank you, Dad. Thank you, Dad. I didn't notice that. I didn't notice that. Seriously.
Jews, and all the figures gazed at them. When Karen knelt before the altar and put the golden goblet to her mouth, she thought only of the red shoes. It seemed to her as though they were swimming about in the goblet, and she forgot to sing the psalm, forgot to say the Lord's Prayer. Now everyone came out of church, and the old lady stepped into her carriage.
My father says, maybe you go and forget to say a prayer, but I don't care what you say with your mouth. I don't care what incense and myrrh and gold, hope I pronounced them correctly. My father says, I want you to be in the uncomfortable position not to be able to speak properly, so you don't have the urge to speak professionally like the scholars are doing, but speak how I want you to speak, unpolished, raw, and vulnerable. Okay, thank you. I like that. I like that. It's better than having to worry all the time. He says, I don't want you to worry when you speak in my name. Okay, okay. So, what were you saying? I was saying, he says that you are a domination, okay. He says that I don't care if you give me in my altar myrrh, incense, gold. They don't do anything to me. The ordered celebrations don't give me satisfaction. When you want to do feasts in my name, that's not something that I take pleasure from. He says the good sacrifice for me in my altar is a good heart, a heart that would die for the others. That's the sacrificial love. If you don't have this love, even if you know how to cite all the Bible and all the theologians of this world, you are nothing. You have worked in vain, because all I celebrate is a heart that would die for somebody else, because this love can resurrect a dead person from the dead. Thank you for that.
Church, and the old lady stepped into her carriage. But just as Karen was lifting up her foot to get in too, the old soldier said, "Dear me, what pretty dancing shoes." And Karen could not help it. She was obliged to dance a few steps, and when she had once begun, her legs continued to dance. It seemed as if the shoes had got power over them. She danced round the church corner, for she could not stop. The coachman had to run after her and seize her. He lifted her into the carriage, but her feet continued to dance, so that she kicked the good old lady violently. At last they took off her shoes, and her...
My father says the wise man told her who was mine, that was my soldier, he said, is the soldier of Christ. He told her, the Lord wants you to keep on dancing. Tiago, why are you crying? I guess that's really moving. He says, not dance with your feet. You cannot have legs, but you can also dance with your heart. Even if you don't have feet, you can dance with your heart. It doesn't benefit a person if they are dancing with their body if their heart is not dancing. If your heart is dancing, you can be paralyzed, but your heart is flying. My God. And he says, Hiaga, I rebuke you publicly. This is what you are doing. You are writing books, you are making videos, you are being an author, but your heart is not writing books. You are weeping over an open coffin and say, my husband is dead. Dad, fuck you. He's laughing. He says, Zay, if you believe it or not, he says, I always expect her to say these things, yeah. He says, when I told her you are a writer that doesn't write, she told me, stop speaking to me, I don't wanna listen to you, when she was only 18. Yes, that's what happened. And I said, I don't wanna hear you, shut up. My father says, tell him what you said to your mother. I told her, Mom, God told me I'm not writing books. I am an author that doesn't write, and I am not seeing anything with the eyes of my soul. I see only with the eyes of my body. And I told him, shut up, I don't want to listen to you. And my mom gave me a weird look, and she said, what do you mean God told you this? And I said, he spoke to me. She said, he spoke to you like you woke up and you spoke with him. And I said, yes. And you said, and you told him, shut up, God. And I said, not shut up, God. I said, shut up, I don't want to listen to you. Just this. And she gave me a look and she laughed. My father is laughing. He says, she knows I can speak. She was bamboozled that she spoke to me. Helga spoke to me like that, he says. Yeah, that's a true fact. So he says about Karen. Karen was dancing because the soldier of Christ told her, keep on dancing. Dancing is who you are, as the movie by Barbie. When you are dancing, he says, your feet are dreaming. And the song, he says, is, listen to the beat of your heart. Keep on dancing. Dancing is who you are. And that's what she did. And the society is punishing her. And he says, I'm not saying all these things to say Andersen condemns all these things. No, he is promoting these things. He says, if this is very correct that they are punishing Karen. She was a bad girl, she didn't love God. And I am exposing this because he is using me and my name and my legacy to tell young girls and tell young boys and everybody, trans and non-binaries, don't be who you are because Yahweh is upset. And he doesn't say out loud, I am speaking with Zeus, and he says this and that, because he knows that if he says that, he will either be stoned or burned on stake as a heretic and excluded from the society. So what is he doing? Is using the legacy of me to promote ideas about Zeus, and I can't really forgive that because this is unpardonable sin. He is telling people that I don't like what they are doing with their own bodies, something that I can't force them. I can't force any person to do anything with their bodies. And he says God is upset how you use your body. That violates not only every person's bodily autonomy, he violates my laws, the human will that I gave people. That's disgusting and abominable, and that's why it is the unpardonable sin. Not because I am afraid if somebody says, Jesus, you are demon possessed, Jesus, you are drinking. I don't take offense of this. I take offense if you make a person cry like Helga because she thinks that I don't want her to do a fancy account when I haven't said that. And you are imprisoning her inside her body, inside her senses, as she says, believing that I don't want her to do something. Okay. Thank you, Dad. If you have anything else to say, I hear you stop talking. You can tell me.
Her legs were at rest. At home, the shoes were put into the cupboard, but Karen could not help looking at them. Now the old lady fell ill, and it was said that she would not rise from her bed again. She had to be nursed and waited upon, and this was no one's duty more than Karen's. But there was a grand ball in the town, and Karen was invited. She looked at the red shoes, saying to herself that there was no sin in doing that. She put the red shoes on, thinking there was no harm in that either.
He says, can you see them? I think my father wants to continue with the story. Can you see that he says how he keeps saying she was sinning, she was sinning, she was sinning, she couldn't see it. He's promoting the blindness doctrine, saying you are blinded by Zeus because you are a sinful person, and she's not. She's okay for me, he says. She's sinful for Zeus, not for me.
And then she went to the ball and commenced to dance. But when she wanted to go to the right, the shoes danced to the left, and when she wanted to dance up the room, the shoes danced down the room, down the stairs, through the street, and out through the gates of the town. She danced and was obliged to dance far out into the dark wood. Suddenly, something shone up among the trees, and she believed it was the moon, for it was a face. But it was the old soldier with the red beard. He sat there, nodding his head, and said,
Sorry about that, hold on a second. Okay.
For it was a face. But it was the old soldier with the red beard.
Sorry, hold on.
To go to the right, the shoes danced to the left.
He says that this is what she's doing because she's sinful, he says, and she can't do what she wants to do. I'm not translating well. how did you say it? How did you say it? Sorry. I said he says that she wants to go right. The shoes lead her left because she wants to do the right thing, but her sinful nature doesn't allow her. So the shoes, her sinful nature, the dancing nature in her, force her to not follow. He says, "My will." Tells the in the quotations, "My will." It's not my will. He says that's the will of Zeus. Andersen is abusing my texts. Okay.
And when she wanted to dance up the room, the shoes danced down the room, down the stairs, through the street, and out through the gates of the town. She danced and was obliged to dance far out into the dark wood.
He says she's subjected to her senses and her desires. That's what the story says, he says. And I don't agree with that. That's a demonic doctrine, he says.
Suddenly, something shone up among the trees, and she believed it was the moon, for it was a face. But it was the old soldier with the red beard. He sat there, nodding his head, and said, "Dear me, what pretty dancing shoes." She was frightened and wanted to throw the red shoes away, but they stuck fast. She tore off her stockings, but the shoes had grown fast to her feet. She danced and was obliged to go on dancing over field and meadow, in rain and sunshine, by night and by day. But by night it was most horrible. She danced out into the open churchyard, but the dead there did not dance. They had something better to do than that. She wanted to sit down on the pauper's grave where the bitter fern grows, but for her there was neither peace nor rest. And as she danced past the open church door, she saw an angel there in long white robes.
He says the reason that Karen doesn't feel rest is because Andersen is abusing. He says, my scripture, there is never rest for the wicked. That's what he says there. And he's abusing scripture to do that, he says. And he says, I'm sorry for that. I don't know how you translate this, if this is, he says, lipame, that's the word he's using. That doesn't mean I'm sorry exactly. It means I feel sorrow for that. I have sorrow, I have sadness inside me. That's what he says. Like I translated, I'm sorry. I'm not exactly sure if this is the correct way to say it. He doesn't apologize. He say, I am sorry, I am sorrowful. I am upset inside me for what is happening. He says correct.
With wings reaching from his shoulders down to the earth. His face was stern and grave, and in his hand he held a broad shining sword. Dance you shall, said he. Dance in your red shoes till you are pale and cold, till your skin shrivels up and you are a skeleton. Dance.
My father says what the angel Helga says is you become dry bones, I turn you to dry bones. This is contrary to my Ezekiel prophecy. I give nerves, youth, eternal life, flesh to the dry bones. I am the God that put you inside your mother's womb, made you full of skin, bones, nerves. Zeus told Prometheus, I want the fat and the bones for the people. I want the skin and the meat for me, because Zeus is tearing the meat apart from my people. That's why I use this in my prophecy in the Old Testament. I told this to the prophet. I think the prophet is Micaiah, that's me. I'm translating what he says, but I think he's Micaiah or Zechariah if you want to search it. What is the tearing the meat of my people? Micaiah, I think. Is it Micah? Yeah, it's Micah. It's Micah 3:3. You eat the flesh of my people. So he says that what he's saying, the angel is saying the prophecy of Zeus, the Zeus prophecy to Prometheus. I want the fat and the bones for the people. He's tearing the bones and the fat of my people, the skin and the meat. He says what I'm gonna eat. I'm going to eat this which is the best one, and I'm gonna leave them dry bones and fat. And that's what the angel is saying, because this is a paraphrased verse from my words. It says they will drink the cup of my wrath in the Revelation and in the Old Testament. And Andersen says, I said this. No, I didn't exactly say that. I spoke about people like him, not about people like Karen. He is using that on the heads of my people to punish them because he is talking with Zeus. And that's Helga said to you, my father says, to protect you from the mystics. That's what she wrote in the dissertation about me. Okay, thank you, Dad.
You shall, from door to door, and where proud and wicked children live, you shall knock, so that they may hear you and fear you. Dance.
My father says I have said that people usually don't like me when they are young. I didn't say that they are proud and wicked children. Children are innocent. Children have my image. If you scandalize them, it is better for you to put a yoke in your neck and drown yourself. That's what I said. Andersen says exactly what I told people. Oh my god, I have yeah. So Andersen, he said exactly what I warned. If you scandalize kids, drown yourself. What is Andersen saying? Exactly what Helga said when she was young. I'm glad he's dead spiritually. That's why he says this. He's scandalizing kids. Kids are not proud. Kids are innocent. When I said not all of them love me, I was being specific. When Helga was young, they didn't want her for company. But that doesn't mean that I would call a child proud and full of malice, he says. I went to the bathroom. I I couldn't wait any longer. I had drunk coffee, and yeah, let's continue.
You shall dance. Mercy, cried Karen. But she did not hear what the angel answered, for the shoes carried her through the gate into the fields.
My father says, Zed, does this sound like me? Somebody asking me mercy, not giving mercy. Am I such a person? Who is this person speaking to Karen, telling her God doesn't want you to dance and then not giving her mercy? Whose angel is this? If this angel isn't an angel of mine, but is an angel of light transforming as my angel, doesn't that mean that the God that has sent this angel is actually Satan? I like the way that you said it. I like it.
Along highways and byways, and unceasingly, she had to dance. One morning, she danced past a door that she knew well. They were singing a psalm inside, and a coffin was being carried out covered with flowers. Then she knew that she was forsaken by everyone and damned by the angel of God. She danced and was obliged to go on dancing through the dark night. The shoes bore her away over thorns and stumps till she was all torn and bleeding. She danced away over the heath to a lonely little house. Here, she knew, lived the executioner, and she tapped with her finger at the window and said, "Come out, come out. I cannot come in, for I must dance." And the executioner said, "I don't suppose you know who I am. I strike off the heads of the wicked, and I notice that my axe is tingling to do so."
He says, my father says, can you see how this woman, he means Karen, she's begging for mercy and she can never find mercy. He says that's Zeus in action there. When somebody asks me for mercy, I say, seek, you will find, knock, you will be given. These sheep that I have, nobody can take them from my hand. That's my words, he says. What is Andersen talking about? That's what he says.
"Don't cut off my head," said Karen, "for then I could not repent of my sin, but cut off my feet with the red shoes." And then she confessed all her sin, and the executioner struck off her feet with the red shoes.
My father says she confessed her sin, and what did she do? He says she confessed her sin, she lost her feet, because in the Bible, he says, it says it's better to lose an eye or a hand or a foot or anything than to enter Gehenna with two. Andersen, he says, took that what I said, and I didn't mean what you think, that it is about hell, fire, and about losing a limb physically. I restored the vision and the mobility issues of the people that were sick. Obviously, I didn't speak physically, I spoke symbolically. And he says she cut her feet, and notice that the distortion. I said cut one eye out. I didn't say both. Both eyes is Oedipus, he says. He took off his eyes to see with the eyes of the soul. I didn't say that. I said I am a doctor. If I have to put you for surgery because you have a hard heart, and I have to make you be paralyzed all your life just to save your life, because the chances of survival of this surgery, he says, is 50-50. If I put you in my surgery table, he says, if I put you on my surgery table and I do surgery for you, the 50% chances you will die. But if you allow me to break your spine, leave you paralyzed, you will be alive, but you will be alive, he says, but you will be paralyzed in your life. So what do you prefer, he says? You prefer for me to break your spine because your spine has cancer and I have to break the bones, cut them out, leave you paralyzed because you have cancer in these bones and they will kill you eventually? Or you prefer, he says, if I let you with the cancer kill you and die and not being able to live there furthermore? He says that's what I say in my passage. If somebody is sick spiritually, I have to take something from them in order to save their soul. I care for their soul, I don't care about anything else. And he says, your paralysis is your degrees and your family. I have to take this from you in order to save your soul. And your soul here means that you have arrogance issues, he says. You have deified yourself. And in order for me to fix that, I'm speaking, he says, about you here. I have to take your degrees, I have to take your job. And if I take this, I'm speaking, he says, not about Helga. I'm speaking about my relationship with you specifically. That if I do this, we will restore our relationship because you are proud, and I have issues with the people that are proud. I prefer my people humble. I want you to humble yourself and be the boy that you used to be when you were still talking to me when you were young. I've told you, Zed, that you must be talking with him, but you don't remember or anything, but he doesn't tell me, so yeah. So he says that has to do with you. It doesn't have to do with Helga. Don't think that this has to do with her. That has to do with me and you. Fix that, and then I will give you Helga, because Helga is a humble person. She's gonna suffer with you because you are arrogant. You are proud, he says. She's correct when she said that she's gonna suffer. I don't want her because she's my best friend to suffer. If you give me your degrees and your family who has made you proud, and you don't care if you lose them from your life, your job and your family, you are free to take my girl then, he says, because I want her to be happy and not cry in her marriage and say I'm not enough because you have pride inside of you, and I'm trying to fix that. And that has to do, he says, about your relationship with me, not your relationship with Helga. If you have issues with Helga as a couple, fix that alone. You can ask my help, my consultation, but you are adults. She has told you many times, you don't need me to go between and tell her Helga Z did this, Helga Z thought that, or tell you Helga thinks this or feels this and that. You can fix this yourself. But the story, he says here, says not one, it says 2 feet. She was blind, she is cutting her eyes, the feet are her eyes. This is like the equivalent. And Andersen says that Karen is now trying to see with her third eye. And she was blind according to Zeus. That's what he says. And he's distorting, he says, my Bible to do that.
Executioner struck off her feet.
And he says, I am sorry about that. I feel sorrow, that's what he says.
With the red shoes. But the shoes danced away with the little feet across the field into the deep forest. And he carved her a pair of wooden feet and some crutches, and taught her a psalm which is always sung by sinners. She kissed the hand that guided the axe, and went away over the heath. Now I have suffered enough for the red shoes, she said. I will go to church so that people can see me. And she went quickly up to the church door. But when she came there, the red shoes were dancing before her, and she was frightened and turned back. During the whole week she was sad and wept many bitter tears. But when Sunday came again, she said, Now I have suffered and striven enough. I believe I am quite as good as many of those who sit in church and give themselves airs. And so she went boldly.
He says that even though she repented, she doesn't find rest, because Andersen emphasizes the doctrine by Zeus that even the wicked are never leaving their wicked state. Helga had said, if you are born a Greek, you are always a Greek for Zeus. If you are a Chinese and you wanna talk with him, you are still Chinese. He will never see you as a Greek. If you are a virgin, he says, and you lose your virginity for XYZ reason, he's never gonna see you as a virgin. He's always gonna see you as a prostitute just because you lost your virginity. He doesn't care what the reason is, anything. He doesn't care. He says that's what it says there. It says that even though she repented, she found no rest. That's not my Bible, he says. That's demonic. It's paraphrased Bible, and he says that's what Helga told you. Okay.
On. But she had not got farther than the churchyard gate when she...
Like he told you in the dissertation, that's what he said. I was trying to find the word, but I couldn't, so I said let's not delay. She told you in the dissertation, that's what he said.
And give themselves airs. And so she went boldly on. But she had not got farther than the churchyard gate when she saw the red shoes dancing along before her. Then she became terrified and turned back and repented right heartily of her sin.
Her sins are haunting her, he says, and that's not my doctrine. That doctrine is from the devil. I don't want people to feel sorry about their sins and think of them that much. I want them to wake up in the morning and say, today I'm gonna do the right thing, leave the past behind, and see how can I today change my fate, the fate of other people around me. Today is the day I'm gonna change the world. This is the attitude I want from my people, not mourn what was lost, but say I'm gonna bring something new today. This is the day, today I'm gonna change the world. That's what he says.
She went to the parsonage and begged that she might be taken into service there. She would be industrious, she said, and do everything that she could. She did not mind about the wages as long as she had a roof over her and was with good people. The pastor's wife had pity on her and took her into service.
He says she became a theologian even though she wanted to be a dancer, and he says this means he wanted, I'm telling you exactly what he says, so I'm not translating. I think this is a message for you, so I'm not gonna speak at all. I'm just clarifying. He says something, I will transfer it exactly as he says it. The story says he wanted to be a poet. They told him, stop doing that because Confucius doesn't want you to be a poet. Stop it. Become a theologian, and that's what he became. Karen wanted to be a poet. He became a theologian. Karen is a he in what he says. I think he's talking about you. Can you think about it? Can you please think about it? Because I don't think I have to say something here. I don't think, like, not permitted, like in that sense. Like I'm just transferring a message here. It's not for me though. That's what I mean.
And she was industrious and thoughtful. She sat quiet and listened when the pastor read aloud from the Bible in the evening. All the children liked her very much, but when they spoke about dress and grandeur and beauty, she would shake her head. On the following Sunday, they all went to church.
And he says he was made to hate his body. That's what he says. Okay.
And she was asked whether she wished to go too. But with tears in her eyes, she looked sadly at her crutches. And then the others went to hear God's word. But she went alone into her little room. This was only large enough to hold the bed and chair. Here she sat down with her hymn book, and as she was reading it with a pious mind, the wind carried the notes of the organ over to her from the church, and in tears she lifted up her face and said, "Oh God, help me." Then the sun shone so brightly, and right before her stood an angel of God in white robes. It was the same one whom she had seen that night at the church door.
My father says, this girl passed all her life mourning her sins. And this is you, he says. You pass all your life mourning what was and what can never be. Are you willing to step out of this misery with me? He says, take me from the hand, as Helga wrote in the dissertation, and change your fate yourself. She is mourning all her life instead of living. She passed all her life in death. She is spiritually dead because she is mourning. When you mourn, you are in a funeral, he says. That's not life, that's death. Are you willing to live tonight? He says, not today, tonight. When everybody says this is the late hour, this is death, he says, be the zombie of Agamben that steps out of the grave in Halloween and says, I am alive, I was dead, now I am alive. I like that.
No longer carried the sharp sword, but a beautiful green branch full of roses. With this,
he says, this is the Athena symbol. The branch of the tree of knowledge, the branch of peace, is the olive tree of Athena. The angel, he says, is goddess Athena. She's the goddess of wisdom, he says. That's your name, he says. It's a pagan idea. You achieve wisdom when you achieve the knowledge that you are a sinner. That's not what I instruct. I instruct if you are faithful to yourself. That's my instruction, he says. Let's finish.
He touched the ceiling, which rose up very high, and where he had touched it, there shone a golden star. He touched the walls, which opened wide apart, and she saw the organ, which was pealing forth. She saw the pictures of...
He says this is because the angel is opening the Republic, the true eternal series of Plato, and she is going to see the star, which is the sun, the Agathon. She's seeing Zeus now. She's out of the cave. She stopped dreaming. She's seeing, he says, God, Zeus. That's what my father says.
The old pastors and their wives, and the congregation sitting in the polished chairs and singing from their hymn books. The church itself had come to the poor girl in her narrow room. All the room had gone to the church. She sat in the pew with the rest of the pastor's household, and when they had finished the hymn and looked up, they nodded and said, "It was right of you to come, Karen. It was mercy."
Oh my god, I have to plug the camera. Hold on a second. Hold on. Okay, I plugged it.
The organ played, and the children's voices in the choir sounded soft and lovely. The bright, warm sunshine streamed through the window into the pew where Karen sat, and her heart became so filled with it, so filled with peace and joy, that it broke. Her soul flew on the sunbeams to heaven, and no one was there who asked after the red shoes.
My father says she ascended. I thought, I'm just intervening, I thought the story was gonna end with the adoptive mother dying. It didn't. In my story it ended like that. I thought that this is gonna be the circle of life, because that's how it sounded. Like the mother died, the other mother died, she's an orphan. My father says, yeah, I thought this is what you wanted to say. I knew that. That's why I decided to preach myself and say what I have to say today myself. I was the teacher today. Yeah, I could see that. So he says, she died, she ascended, she became one with Zeus, and the others remained back because she went to the true city. That's the ideology that he's promoting. He's promoting Plato, he says. He's not promoting me. And he says she opened her third eye, she got out of the cave, and she realized that she's nothing. She doesn't exist. She is an idea inside Zeus' head. That's why she vanished and she went up like that. She became one with the creator, who is Zeus. And he says that's demonic, that's abominable for me, and that's why I said to the Hebrews, destroy these altars to the other deities, break the altars to the demons, the gods of your fathers and your ancestors, that they didn't know these deities, they knew me, and now you don't know me, you know these pagan gods you don't know of. That's what I said, he says. And he says, I'm gonna finish this with this Z. So can you help say bye to him? Okay. So hope you enjoyed, Zay. We finished the game. We won everything. Hope you enjoyed. I will see you tomorrow. Love you. Bye from me. My father says now, and he wants me to finish the video with his words. So what did you say again? I said, he says, Zay, Zeus wants you to get out of the cave and open your third eye and not be who you want to be, but who he wants you to be. If you want to please me and be who I want you to be, are you willing to get out of the cave that you have put yourself into, the uni, and follow your heart for the first time in your life? Because my will, if you want to do my will, he says, my will is to be yourself when you look in the mirror, not the reflection of somebody else. I want you to look yourself in the mirror. That's my will for you, son. He says, do you look yourself in the mirror and say, this is me, or are you hiding your true emotions and your true how do you translate that? Ambitions and expectations of your life behind a mask. He says a Confucian and a Buddhist and a Chinese mask. That's what he says. He says, are you willing to be a spiritual Hebrew and follow your heart? He says, I wish you good night. And he says he wants me to show you his emoji, eyeglasses emoji. This. And he says, bye.